Jay Stanley is Senior Policy Analyst at the American Civil Liberties Union, where he works on speech, privacy, and the technology project. We appreciate him coming. He's got his degrees from Williams College and the University of Virginia, and we're looking forward to your remarks. Where's it? Is he here? Oh,
I'm here.
there you go. My old eyes aren't working too well. Great to see you. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, try not to repeat too much of what's been said before, but what we're talking about here is data that's coming from our home. That's very, very intimate data, as Kelsey was talking about in many ways. And historically, the home has been the point of the most intense, highest privacy protection in our society. Goes back to British common law for hundreds of years, where a man, home is his castle, etc. The Supreme Court has generally never held up privacy rights as strongly as they do in the home. There was a case, Kylo, where the police wanted to use the thermal image scanner to scan somebody's home. They saw that there was a lot of heat in the attic. They got a warrant to go into the house because they thought it was a marijuana grow operation, which it was. And in a case written by Scalia, in a decision written by Scalia, they said, no, you cannot do that. The Supreme Court has said that you can use drug sniff dogs to sniff people in airports as they walk around, to sniff cars, no problem with a warrant. The case came up where they had a drug sniff dog at somebody's front door. No, you cannot do that. The home is sacred when it comes to privacy. And yet, we increasingly have devices, including all kinds of Internet of Things things, but also smart grid information that is streaming information about intimate activities in the home out to third parties. And I think that the privacy threats here, there's three privacy threats. The companies or utilities that receive that information, and the government, and hackers. And there are three distinct threats that need three distinct policy solutions. That information goes to companies. We're in an environment where there is an intense profit motive to seek and analyze as intimate information about people's lives. The more intimate, the more valuable it is. In the free market system, companies do not let value lying on the ground when it's there to be picked up. They move to exploit it and make profit out of it, unless they are constrained by publicity or regulation, or technical constraints. So, we would like to see very strong, enforceable rules, or not that different from what was outlined earlier, that consumers know what is being collected about them. And that doesn't mean boilerplate, tiny print way down in a click-through contract. It means that a good faith effort to make this, to ensure as well as possible that consumers actually do understand what information is being collected about them. That they give consent wherever possible. And on the utilities side, this is not like a normal sort of Internet of Things thing, because there is a social good in some of this collection of information. We can have environmental efficiencies, we can have better analysis for planning purposes, et cetera, from aggregate data especially. So there may be areas in which we as a society decide that we are going to allow information to be collected, whether or not people give permission. But insofar as that happens, first of all, permission should be people should have as much control as possible over the data that flows out. And where they don't have control, you can't control the fact that that certain information is collected. The more information that is collected without their consent, the more important it becomes that everything else in terms of policy be strong. Otherwise, we are going to end up in a situation where people feel that even their own intimate activities inside the house are in some sense being monitored or being watched, even if it's only by an algorithm. And people will not feel secure in their own homes, which is not a society I think most Americans want to live in. It's important that Americans have access, the data be accurate, and that there be enforceable, realistically strong enforcement mechanisms. Ideally, this should be put in, passed by legislatures. I'm not going to say too much about security. It's a huge topic. I'm going to focus more specifically on privacy here. But let me just say that, as the gentleman was saying earlier, it's an offense-defense situation. The fact is, in the modern world, offense, when it comes to cybersecurity, is much easier than defense. I, as a consumer, if information about what I'm doing in my home is streaming to a company, my baseline assumption is that information is not secure. Because, you know, why? Not because the company is necessarily incompetent, but because it's 2017. And that has to be part of the calculus by policymakers here, that basically it's very, very difficult to secure information today. Government. So now let's say that the company has all the best policies and all the best security. They have all this information, intimate information about how I'm living my life inside the four walls of my home. The government can still access that data. And we've seen in the Arkansas hot tub case, it can be used, you know, in very, very serious ways. And we think that not only should it, at a very minimum, only be accessible with a warrant, but actually with stronger, only under stronger criteria than a warrant. Congress, when it comes to wiretaps, audio wiretaps, decided that because it's so sensitive, that a warrant requirement under the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution is not actually enough, and they impose additional requirements before the government can install a wiretap, such as that it only be used for serious crimes, that it be permitted only when other investigative procedures have failed or are very unlikely to succeed, etc. And we would like to see that sort of warrant plus framework put in place legally or legislatively to protect this very intimate data that's flowing outside of the home. And key issues around the warrant are breadth, how broad is the warrant, it should be as narrow as possible, the minimization of data that's collected by a warrant about how I'm living my life, so that if you need to know information about a 24-hour period, you're not getting a whole year's worth of information. And notice, this is a huge issue when it comes to government access to data. Throughout history, the government has always been required to give you notice when it serves you a warrant, mainly because it had to come into your home and you were there, and so you would know. In the electronic age, the government is increasingly seizing data without giving notice to the person whose data it is. And this is the subject of several court fights. I'm out of my 6 minutes, so I will say no more, but that's a super quick overview of sort of our perspective, and I thank the Lexington Institute for allowing me to share. Thank you.